nothing can be done. With all the resources and effort that have recently gone into making this city better and more beautiful in recent years, named by our very own police department, properties, especially when they are a danger to the neighborhood and a threat to the historic district. This property in our West End Historic District, which is on the National Register of Historic Places, was once a unique and stunning beauty like all of the contributing properties in this district. I'm sorry, I've only got a few more sentences. This Georgian Revival home was designed by William F. Brooks, a very successful architect in New Britain, Hartford, and statewide. He was the architect for a number of notable buildings, churches, public buildings, and office buildings throughout the state, including the New Britain Public Library, the Camp School, the Hartford Municipal Building, the Fourth Congregational Church in Hartford, and the former Noah Webster Memorial Library in West Hartford. Mr. Brooks designed and built 123 Forest Street in 1907 for Clarence F. Bennett, who was the superintendent of the Stanley Works at the time. If the dead could speak, I am sure Mr. Brooks and Mr. Bennett would be shocked and disappointed at the lack of action to restore this property. So what do I want from you? I want all power and influence that this city administration can muster to bring pressure to bear on the bank that is negligent. As representatives of our city, I would hope you can bring influence on state reps to create a state law that any insurance payout must be used expressly for the restoration of property. In both 87 Forest Street and now 123 Forest, it is not evident that any insurance payout went to restore these properties. I would also like to see the City Historic Commission oversee or at least review and give guidance in the purchase of this property so that the building will be restored and not destroyed. These old beauties are remarkably resilient and can be restored even with severe damage and neglect. I would also like to see stronger city ordinances that will prohibit blight and neglect of damaged buildings, particularly in the case of historic properties. If insurance and mortgage companies do not care about these historic properties enough to protect them, then our only hope is that the city cares enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, I think, based on the arrows here, is Heather Zatola. Name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Heather Zatola, and I live at 26 Adams Street with my husband, Paul, and our 2 teenagers. Our house looks at the side of 123 Forest, which is why I'm here tonight. I was here about a year ago, appealing probably a little more emotionally than I should have, but to the Common Council to address the blight at 123 Forest, and I'm back again because the situation hasn't been resolved and it's in fact worse. So we purchased our house in February of 27th of 2007. We moved in on May 9th of 2007 after over 3 months of renovating the house. Between these 2 dates, I believe, or potentially right before, 123 Forest had a fire on the 3rd floor and was vacated by the occupants. Over the next 16 years, the house has been left to fester in our neighborhood. Once a beautiful home, it has now become a beacon for crime such as trespassing, breaking and entering, theft, and most recently, graffiti. It is us, the neighbors, who have worked to keep the house safe by calling the city regarding these crimes, as well as contacting the city regarding the high grass trash that has been dumped and the lack of shoveling. We are tired of this house sitting there vacant, ripe for crime, and inviting that crime into our neighborhood. When I called the police about the graffiti, Officer Cologne came to investigate, and from what I understand, the guilty parties have been charged. He was wonderful. He investigated it. For that, I'm grateful, but that graffiti only served as a catalyst for me to become more vocal about this vacant home. From what I understand, the family still lives in town and perhaps owns homes in other towns and other states. I also understand that they were fighting with the bank or insurance company over ownership. Honestly, I think that that is despicable. They have left 123 Forest to fester and become our problem. No building or home should be allowed to remain vacant and boarded up for 16 years. That is absolutely unacceptable. I spoke to a woman who said that she chose not to buy a house on Forest once she saw that that house was boarded up, and instead moved actually to a whole other town. If any of my immediate neighbors or my family decided to sell, we would certainly have a difficult time with 123 Forest looming across the street. Our house assessment went up significantly, but that house has certainly brought down our property values. I'm grateful for all the city council people who have reached out to me in the past week. I know that they all share my frustration. From the sounds of things, there may finally be some movement. I'm hoping that this house will soon be sold to someone who will appreciate it and restore it to its former glory. But going forward, I think the city needs to figure out how to avoid this kind of blight from occurring for such an extended period of time. 16 years is way too long for a neighborhood to endure a vacant home. Some might say, well, it was boarded up and the grass was painted. Someone actually said that, or the grass was painted. The boards were painted and the grass was cut. Would you want to live across from that? I don't accept that. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to a swift resolution to the blight at 123 Forest, and I want to share these pictures before my time is up. So this is what we were looking at in our neighborhood. And this is a big, beautiful home that should have had a family in it, and it didn't. And that's sad. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Molly. Molly, just please state your full name and address for the record.
Molly Sherman, 27 Woodbine Street, New Britain, which is right around the corner from 123 Forest. And when we moved in, I was at 192 Lincoln, which is also right around the corner, the other corner from 123 Forest. I also would just like to urge whatever action could possibly be taken to clean up this house and maybe possibly get a family in there that would contribute to the neighborhood, because it's a mess. It's horrible. Heather talked about how it's dissuading people from moving into the neighborhood and even into the city. I know how long it's been sitting there because my son was an infant when that fire happened. I remember very vividly running outside and seeing the flames and being so horrified. My son just celebrated his 18th birthday. So it's been sitting there a long time, plenty long enough to have had some movement on repair and preventing the squatters, the homeless people, the drug use that's going on in that house now. The neighborhood would really like to get that cleaned up, and it would be to the benefit of the entire city. So thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you. Our next speaker on the list is Mary Ann.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Salerni, and I live at 219 Vine Street, which is right across the street from 123 Forest Street. I don't have a prepared speech, but I just want to reiterate some of the things that Heather and the other women have said. We've lived in our house for about 34 years, and of course about 16 to 18 of those years have been looking at that monster across the street. And they're correct in saying that it's been a haven for a lot of vandalism, squatters. I mean, we've had police there so many times in the few years that we've been there. I've called, they don't shovel the sidewalk, they don't cut the grass unless I make a phone call. And it's kind of annoying because I've called the building department, and we put information online, and I've called the police department. Everybody's been pretty responsive. In fact, Sergio, is it Lupo? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've talked to him several times too, and he's been very helpful. It's just, you just get so frustrated because you have to keep calling all the time and nothing gets done. Nobody takes responsibility. The West End was always been considered kind of the prime area of New Britain, and now we're in the historic district, And it's just a shame to see everything going downhill like this. So I'd just like to appeal to you to please try to get something done. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the list of persons who signed up to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council?
I'll keep going with it.
Come on up, sir.
Can I go first, Mike?
Absolutely.
Because it's 123 too. I just didn't get on the list.
Just your name and address for the record, please.
Craig Swanson, 209 Vine Street. Oh, and I can't read either. There we go. Thanks for listening to us. Again, my name's Craig Swanson. My wife Sheila and I have owned 209 Vine for about 20 years now. While not discounting what everyone else sees, our driveway and back door, which are our primary means of exit and entry, are directly across from 123. We've looked at it and seen it all for 16 years. We were home the night of the fire and stood on the sidewalk and in our driveway with some of the Genovese family. A fire is the worst, it's the most traumatic, and I can't even imagine it, but it happened. I know other people who've been through fires. It can take 1 to 2 years to restore. I don't believe restoring that home was ever on the agenda for them. 2 years became 4 years, then 8, then 16. Unfortunately, it wasn't just a vacant, boarded-up property. Police activity began not long after the fire. At its peak, I was told the chief was surprised to learn at one point that there had been 27 visits over a 3-year period, which made it a chronic property for the police. 27, 3 years. The worst day was there was 8 police vehicles and over a dozen officers, most with guns drawn, running around that property. They came out with a squatter and a runaway girl. Squatter with his hands on his head, guns drawn, in a residential neighborhood. All right, so we've had police at our door several times asking us the standard, did we see anything over there? I mean, probably at least a dozen times over the years. So what I would like to know is there a log? Can you people find out how many times the building department's been called over 16 years? Because I'm going to guess it's in the hundreds. How many fines have been levied? Because again, snow not shoveled, fines, boards off the windows. I have a picture from the internet from 4.5 years after the fire. Nothing boarded up, inviting vagrancy. It's on the internet. I think it's in the ordinance. I don't know when they have to board up, but I believe it's an ordinance that vacant properties have to be boarded up. 4.5 years later. Was this property being fined on a daily basis when the city could have, which would have moved things along much, much quicker? And how many times have the police been there? And how much does that cost us as taxpayers? And what's it done to my property values, my neighbor's property values? And at this point, from tonight on, we just want to move forward. We want you guys involved. We want the mayor involved. And we want to see that house be a home again. That's all we want. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Are there any other persons in the audience? Mr. Wanek?
Hi, Michael Wanek, 48 Sunny Ledge Street. I just want to flip the coin and show a little sunshine and give people hope, because we've been in a serious situation, same kind of thing. First absentee ownership, then certificate of occupancy pulled, so on and so forth. But when the city started to really pay attention to the issues, and I had 4 aldermen standing in my garage, I think it was Christmas Eve, and we were looking at it, right, Chris? We stood there, Alden, and they could not believe it. We started a little chatter, and a little action started to happen, and the whole of government came together. The licensing in Sergio's organization, the health department, the police department, everybody kind of came in on this. And just, I think it was a week ago, there was a foreclosure on the house because the fines had escalated, kind of what Craig was saying, to about $60,000. And there, excuse me? What house? This is on Sunny Ledge, last house on the left, above grade. 32 is the number. But the thing is, there was enough equity in the house so that the bank can get money, so that the city could get reimbursed for all the services that we've given, so on and so forth. So I would submit that you know, the mayor's been wonderful in this whole thing. I would submit that this is probably the best value that property has today, and we missed the market by like 8 months. But now's the time to go on it, because someone may come in, gut this thing, do what they needs to do, and what Craig said, put it back on the market, put a family in there, and go forward. And maybe the city doesn't get hurt because the dollars are there to do it. Now, if there's other legalese involved in here, I don't know. It's always complicated. The guy we live next door to is a master of running the state of Connecticut, which owns the housing issues. It's not really the city, it's the state. That needs to be clear, and that's hard to understand. It was really tough for me to swallow that. But, you know, at a certain point in time, people run out of rope, and that's what happened to this guy. He finally kind of surrendered, so we think. So we think our saga comes to the end on May 6th with a foreclosure sale. And I wish that for you guys and our neighborhood, 'cause it's all our neighborhood. And I wish that for the city, because it's good for all of us. And we've shown we can do it, so we should do it in other places. Just like the Berkowitz building sat there, turned into something that's going to be great. There's a lot of great things. And I'm out of here.
Thank you, Mr. Ronick.
Thank you.
Are there any other persons that would like to address the council? Second time, are there any other persons that would like to address the council? Third and final time, are there any persons in the chambers that would like to address the council? Seeing none, I will move to close. Oh, absolutely. We don't have a portable one, but yeah, if you can wheel over there, we can tilt it down. Terrell, is there enough cord on that one? Oh, you know, we could do it from right there.
Ann, I know you can talk loud. I've known you for years.
Do what?
I said, I know you can talk loud, so talk loud.
More.
I hope so.
That's it.
Well, maybe.
You could just speak.
Just speak, we can hear you.
Yeah. You're close enough. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, listen, I'm 97 years old, so I'm not full of steam like you people. But anyway, I'm going to read you something.
Can we just have your name and address
Where?
for the record, please?
Now,
And
You have to say your name and address for the record.
yeah, okay. My name is Ann Mikulak. I'm the former president of the Citizen Property Owners Association. I live at 104 Daly Avenue, and that was my family home. I lived there when my parents immigrated from Poland for 88 years in the same house on Daly Avenue, 104. It's a nice neighborhood, and I enjoy living in New Britain. Now I'm going to tell you why I'm here. We are going to turn over because of the pandemic. The older people, the group is 95 years old, so you realize that their children moved away from New Britain when they went to college and everywhere else. The homes were sold, and there's a big turnover, and a lot of the real estate people are bought them up and made condominiums and everything. So there are not too many private homes. And it happened that now we don't have membership. At one time, we had close to 400 people in our association. And because we were paying a nonprofit and we were collecting dues, we had also a small treasury, and people donated to us. And we're going to turn over the money to the city for the dog fund, K9. Now, I know that the police department is doing a great job, and I'm an animal lover anyway. I feel that the dogs and the police protect everyone. It's no one special group that's going to get this money, because every citizen in New Britain is going to be protected. Now I'm going to read you what I wrote, and I'm going to be slow, because first of all, I got macular degeneration, and that doesn't help much. But it's my daughter printed this out for me, and I wanted to tell you now. The Citizen Property Owners Association, known as the CPOA, in New Britain, Connecticut, the oldest taxpayers group of 95 years, now remind you,
Terminated in September.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, was terminated. That's another thing I want to tell you. Because of membership and all the pandemic and all the older people moved and died and everything, then now we had to close, and we ended the association in September of this past year. And it took us 6 months to get our money from one of the banks, because what happens if you don't claim it, and people couldn't go, and our treasurer died, the money was in the state, and they kept it. And that's why the governor got a lot of money, because a lot of people don't claim money, I think. So anyway, we didn't get our $8,000. And 6 months almost, now we're getting it, and we're turning it over to our good city. Okay. The association was affiliated also with the Federation of Connecticut Taxpayers of the state. That was a state group. CPOA was started in New Britain by, when it was called the Hardware City in New Britain, by industrialists. Now remember, we had all these factories, Norton Judd, Fafner, Stanley Works, Stanley Rule, okay. And it was started by them, also by businessmen. It was also started by the property owners, people that owned their own little homes, okay. The members of the CPOA attended most of the council meetings. We always had 1 or 2 representatives to hear what was going on. And we were getting agendas thanks to Mark Bernanke. He mails it out. We know what the heck's always going on in the city, so one calls the other. Okay, so we know what's going on. And we were watching what the council of the city was doing, spending our tax dollars. Okay, we all met at different places. We didn't have a place to meet. We met at the library. We met at City Hall. We met at all these different places. Okay, and finally, and we watched that the city money was spent wisely and very well. Okay. As president of this association, and I was president for 18 years, I inherited it from the previous president, who was Stanley Nevers. Okay, as president of this group for 18 years, it was an honor to serve in that group. I did what I could. And I would like to thank all these people, or few of them, that were instrumental during the 18 years that we monitored the taxes. Former president, or former Mayor Stanley Peck. Also, Tim Stewart, who's still alive, wonderful. Now, also, we had State Representative Anthony Terziak, and he passed away, God love him. Okay. Also, former Senator Thomas Bozak. I still believe he's around. And then also on the council, they're still not working now, but they were up here representing us. We had Louis Salvio and also Danny Salerno. Danny Salerno went to school with my daughter. nice friend, okay. Then my vice president, who served with me, and I don't drive, listen, people, but all these members from the group gave me rides to meetings. I made it an effort to go there and to do speaking. And that was Antonio DePietro, and he's still alive. Hi there, Tony. And also Helene Groman, and she was the secretary for years and years, and she passed away now too. And then also, I want to thank all the people that supported us, and some of the merchants in the city, and their sons that had businesses, like Leonard Birnbaum, who was on the finance board, was also instrumental helping our group. Okay. Now, I also want to say, oh, and then finally, I'd like to thank Mayor Erin Stewart, and she's doing a great job. She was a mayor that people could talk with. She was very receptive to ideas. She has a lot of ingenuity. She had good ideas, and we want to recognize her for what she's doing now for the city. She's got good ideas, okay. And finally, we want to thank also, let me see. Well, she made, well, I'll tell you the best thing she did, and she's smart. She reduced taxes, or not reduced them, but didn't raise them. Now, you know, when you have families and you're trying to support them, it's hard to educate your children if you want to send them to schools. And if the taxes aren't raised, at least you have a budget, and you're an only person working in the family, the man or the woman or whatever. It's hard to manage money. And we were able, as people, to keep and save money, you know, at least not spend it on frivolous things. Now, the last thing is, she did that. I just want to tell you one thing. We always watch the aldermen. Don't kid yourself. And I'll tell you, one representative, I'm not going to say who he is, he was always against ideas that the taxpayers had. And when it came to vote, we watched. He he never wanted nothing. Okay. So I thought, well, I'm going to call this guy up. And this was on a Saturday, and I knew he had a law office. So I called up, and he says, speaking. And I said, why didn't you pick up the phone? You heard my name. And I said, I know you don't want to speak to me. You're supposed to represent the people. But he hung up. I'm glad, because that was the end of him. When it came to vote, he never got in, because we had all these people wanting, weren't happy with what he was not listening to ideas. I thank you very much. God bless you all. I'm glad you're helping the mayor, and I just want to be, because at my age, 97, I'm going to be 98, but I still get agendas from Mark Bernanke. I know what's going on, and thank God I get the newspapers. I'm able to read. These are my reading glasses, and I listen to the radio. But one thing I don't like, we don't like that little chick, because I got neuropathy and I can't use my fingers good, so I wouldn't even want that crappy thing. Okay. All right, thank you, Ann. Okay, thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mikulak. We appreciate you, your wisdom, and your phone calls on a regular basis. Keeps us on our toes. Just a quick comment regarding 123 4th Street. I know some of my colleagues may also have some quick comments before the mayor joins us. Mr. Wanek spoke and said that the government aligned and came together for the Sunny Ledge property, and the same thing is happening here again. The graffiti was cleaned up by Sergio Lupo himself. I want to give him a little bit of credit where credit is due. He went and bought the primer paint and went out and painted it himself when he didn't have to help the process. And the family has been given till March 31st to clean their contents from their property so the bank can take official ownership and move on with the restoration process or sale process of that property. So it is happening. Is there any council member that wishes to address any member of the public or anything said during public participation? Alderman Ayalon.
Thank you. I want to thank, I think I had a telephone discussion with Heather Zatola, and I know another Zatola, I don't know if you're connected to that, in the school system? Connection, yes. So I wrote a petition on that actually last time. But I think we need to, one of the speakers mentioned that we need to not just have one or two houses that the city gets together, but it needs to be established. So I think we need to look at our blight ordinance, city, and tighten it and prevent and have that regulated so it doesn't have to wait 16 or 20 years. So that's number one. And I think also since this is a historical neighborhood, we have a historical preservation commission. It needs to look at that as well and take hold of historical houses and use that as a leverage. We have industrial. When I came here to office 5 years ago, we had one of the houses of Stanley buildings that could have been renovated and been made a great place for restaurants and movie theaters and others, and yet we chose to demolish it. So I think we need to look also in restoration. What I've seen now to fight blight in the last few years was two strategies. One is to demolish, and the other one is to convert it to housing, to multi-family housing. I think we need to look at a third one, the preservation for what it is for individual houses. We need the historical preservation and to have money for restoration, and many cities do that. And I think the city needs to start paying more attention to the neighborhoods, not just to downtown, because everything we hear, all of this is about downtown, parking, downtown developers, and therefore neighborhoods are left behind. So this is really an opportunity to look at these cases at 123 Forest Street and said, what do we need to do different, systemically, not just for that one, and then wait for another neighborhood that is willing to get together like these neighbors and stand up for their rights. And I will definitely support that. With my friend here that I think we might know each other from Blight, that I might have come to your house in the past. So appreciate your service on the tax association and your concern about our taxes. I wonder what your association, if it still existed, would think about having a city manager in addition to a mayor, fully paid, 2 people running the city with, over $100,000 making. What would you think about, the bloated administration we have, and about the deficit? The budget every year now we pay 8% of our budget for debt. So I wonder what your association would think about it. And but thank you for your service in coming here. I wish I will sound like you when I'm 97. So thank you so much for your service and your care. Thank you.
Any other alderperson? Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming in. I met a couple of people over the weekend, so thank you so much for being here. It's always nice when the chamber's full. I'm just sorry that you're here for this reason. We have certainly heard everybody. I know that several of us have been involved in many conversations over this pain point in your neighborhood, and I'm really sorry that any of you are dealing with that. That's incredibly frustrating. It affects your quality of life, and it's in contrast with what we're trying to do citywide. We're looking to lift the city and improve the quality of life in beautifying what we're looking at. So we're certainly looking forward to eliminating this problem for you. I know that there are a number of people working to resolve this and remedy this. I hope the next time you come in, it's that we can celebrate that this has been resolved, that the house has been sold, and we have a new family in it. But really, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy lives on a Wednesday evening to come in and talk to us about it, about this issue. And please come back and visit us again in future meetings to help us understand what it is that you need. We really appreciate you being here. Anne, you are such a joy. Thank you for coming in and talking to us tonight. Thank you for helping us understand some history in New Britain. A lot of us are new Alder people, and we appreciate that you're holding us accountable and sharing with everybody else that we should be held accountable. Thank you for sharing your experience with CPOA. We're grateful for that, but mostly thank you for the donation to the police department. I'm sure they're going to be really grateful and look forward to using that money with the K-9 unit that's going towards. So thank you very much for coming in. I hope we're all, as verbally eloquent as you have been tonight. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Alderwoman Acosta. The mayor is here, and the regular meeting will begin shortly. Thank you.
Britain Common Council. The date is February 8th, 2023. The time is 7:48 p.m. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderpersons Dyson. Ayalon. Catanzaro.
Here.
Costa. Hargraves. Malinowski. Ortiz Luna. Pabon. Russell.
Excused.
Rutkowski.
Here.
Sanchez. Okay. Skirpo.
Here.
Segura.
Excused.
Thompson.
Present.
Smedley.
Here.
12 present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Can we all please rise for the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, as we approach Valentine's Day, fill our hearts with your precious gift of love. We ask for everlasting love to and from our families and friends. Please look down on our friend and colleague, Alderman Angel Segura, and ask you for his safe and speedy recovery. We ask this in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Alderman Hargraves asked for a point of personal privilege this evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to say that this is our first meeting here in February as we celebrate Black History Month. And I just want to highlight some of the events that the city's held in celebration of that. Last Monday, there was an Pan-African flag raising here at Central Park to celebrate the start of Black History Month and to honor some of the individuals that are often overlooked when we look at the history of our country. And just this evening, right before the council meeting, we had a ceremony honoring some prominent Black individuals. This is the third time it's been done. We can't honor hundreds of people every year, but we like to choose just a few and recognize so that their name is shown. And I just want to give the names of the people that were recognized this evening, who were Ernestine Fianza, Jason Gibson, James Jones, Quentin McDougall, Elmer Nixon, Sam Simmons, Dana Smith, Mary Smith Floyd, and Ethan Welsh. They each contributed to both here in our community in New Britain as well as throughout the state and throughout the country. So we thank them, and it's important that we continue to acknowledge people that make an impact in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hargraves. And if you'll indulge me for a moment this evening, there is a very special person who is here who spoke during public participation, Miss Anastasia Ann Mikulak, who I would like to talk about for a few moments tonight. We heard from Anne about the Citizens Property Owners Alliance of New Britain, which was founded in 1924. It was in an effort to hold the New Britain Common Council and mayors accountable for the spending of taxpayer dollars. Their most well-known member in their history is Miss Ann Mikulak. Anne was a member of CPOA for decades and served in numerous leadership roles, including its president. And when it came to CPOA, Anne was a force to be reckoned with, never shying away from defending the property owners of the city of New Britain. If Anne and CPOA spoke out at a council meeting, odds were that the council was probably going to go along with Anne's recommendations for fear of facing citywide backlash. And that was the impact that she had on the property owners in our community. It was also not uncommon for Anne's comments to the council to appear in the New Britain Herald, and she always made sure her letters to the editor got printed, even if it took numerous phone calls to the editor of the Herald itself. As times changed and many social clubs and organizations began to become defunct, Anne made it a point that the CPOA live on and that it represent the taxpayers. And at 97 years old, Anne still keeps a watchful eye over the city as she receives a printed copy of every council agenda and of every new budget. And in fact, many years ago, it was Anne's suggestion to have the budget printed double-sided so that would create a savings in the amount of paper used. So something we still do to this day. And with tonight's resolution that we'll take up in the beginning of our items, that closes out the CPOA account, it will donate the money to the New Britain Police Department's K-9 unit that Anne cared for very much. It is only fitting that we thank Anne for her many years of service and dedication, and I have an award that I would like to come down and present Anne with. So. I want everyone listening to hear this too, is the City of New Britain Distinguished Service Award presented to Anastasia Ann Mikulak in recognition of her dedication and commitment to property owners of the City of New Britain, given to her this February 8th, 2023.
I'm gonna have to leave, sweetheart, you know? My age, I can't walk anymore. Thank you. I'll be in touch. God love you. Thank you. I wanna thank everybody. Thank you. I'm gonna have to leave. I gotta go to bed early. And my caregiver's gotta put me to bed. Because I can't walk. Okay, thank you very much. God love you.
Okay. Thank you, Ann. All right. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meetings of December 14th, 2022, January 11th, 2023, and January 25th, 2023.
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Russell. Any questions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you. I make a motion to amend the agenda by substituting item number 11 and adding item number 14.
I have a second by Alderman Thompson. Any questions or comments on that? Mr. Clerk?
Alderpersons Ayalon.
Yes.
Catanzaro.
Yes.
Costa. Hargraves. Malinowski. Ortiz Luna. Russell. Rutkowski.
Yes.
Sanchez. Skirpo. Thompson.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
12-0, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Mr. Clerk, our petitions tonight.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 3 this evening. First one is from Alderman Ayalon for the appropriate departments to provide information regarding the following for the house on 123 Forest Street. In particular, what are the city's plans to end the blight of this house, what the city has done since the fire of 2007 to address the blight at this house, what blight city ordinance rules it has followed, and does the city ordinance need to be modified, and what could be done to prevent lengthy blights in the future.
To the building department, please.
Okay. Second one is from Alderman Ayalon for the appropriate departments to provide the information regarding the following. The city council was supplied a brochure listing 14 downtown housing projects, how many total units are planned for, and how many of them would be affordable units for a low-income family, what community input has been sought and provided for these projects. If the community input was sought, how were they incorporated into the plans?
The Planning and Development Office.
Okay, and the last one is from Alderman Thompson for the appropriate departments to install no littering signs on Blake Road and the east side of McCormick Street along Stanley Quarter Park and A.W. Stanley Park.
The Public Works Department, please.
And that's it, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir. Alderman Smedley for the consent agenda.
I make a motion to accept a consent agenda of items A, B, C, D, E, and F.
I have a second by Alderwoman Costa. Any questions or comments? Mr. Clerk?
Alderpersons Ayalon.
Yes.
Catanzaro.
Yes.
Costa. Hargraves. Malinowski. Ortiz Luna. Russell. Rutkowski.
Yes.
Sanchez. Skirpo.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
12-0, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Resolution number 1 tonight, Alderman Rutkowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 1.
Second.
I have a second by Alderwoman Ortiz Luna.
This is item number 35974. Is to change the zone of the property known as 520 Alexander Road from secondary business B-3 zoning district to Garden Apartments A1 zoning district. And I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Rutkowski. Any questions or comments on item number 1? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 2.
Seconded by Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a language change and deletion of Section B of this ordinance related to parking permits, and it has been updated to reflect the current processes that the city will be adhering to for parking permits, and I do urge adoption.
Thank you very much. Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. We had a great discussion yesterday on this. It was very, very bipartisan, and I think we got a lot accomplished by everybody working together. We still have a little more to do in the future, but this really, kind of does what we wanted to do, not to eliminate anybody that may need some assistance in the future. So I really want to thank all the council members for all coming together and getting this done. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 3, Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 3.
Seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez.
It's a shame she left. It's short, but I'm going to read it. Whereas the City Property Owner Association, CPOA in New Britain, is a community organization that advocates for fiscal responsibility and oversight in government, as well as the rights and concerns of property owners within the city limits of New Britain. And whereas CPOA has always been a big proponent of the City of New Britain Police Department, and especially their canine operations. It has helped to purchase canine handler bite suits, as well as bulletproof vests for the canines in the past. And whereas CPOA will be dissolving after 90-plus years of operation and using its remaining funds of $8,134.49 to donate to the New Britain Police Department for its canine operations. And whereas the tireless efforts of past presidents Anastasia Mikulak and Michael Wanek have not gone unnoticed and are appreciated for their very generous donation. Now therefore be it resolved that such funding upon receipt be placed in appropriate revenue accounts in the City of New Britain Police Department account to be used specifically for canine operation expenditures. And I strongly urge adoption. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you very much, Alderman Catanzaro. Any other alderperson wish to speak on this resolution? Mr. Wanek, I'm sorry I didn't get you a plaque, too. I'll get you some. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mrs. Mikulak.
Thank you. Thank you. Resolution number 4, Alderman Hargraves.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 4.
Seconded by Alderwoman Costa.
This is recognized February 2023 as Black History Month, and I'll read the resolution in its entirety. So whereas since 1926, a son of a former slave and coal miner, as a child, Dr. Carter G. Woodson conducted Negro History Week, a week-long celebration to commemorate individuals and events which portray significant impact on the African-American lifestyle and history. Whereas since 1976, Black History Month has been celebrated nationally during the entire month of February to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas the City of New Britain is proud to be home of such a diverse, distinguished population and recognizes the accomplishments of African Americans have made. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of New Britain proclaims February 2023 as Black History Month and encourages residents, public officials, and all red, yellow, and green in honor of Black History Month as well as the other events. So we do commend the mayor, the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities, and their staff for all the work that they do. And I urge adoption.
I love that. Thank you, Alderman. Any questions or comments? Thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 5.
Seconded by Alderman Russell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to read this resolution and then give a brief comment cardiovascular disease, including heart disease and stroke, account for 1 in every 3 deaths in the United States, equaling 2,200 deaths per day. And whereas to raise awareness to this deadly disease, February has been designated as American Heart Month. And whereas during the month of February, it is encouraged to focus on preventative measures to fight this disease, such as exercising at least 30 minutes a day, avoid smoking, and eating a heart-healthy diet. This resolution is important, and I have to pause for a moment to thank 3 people in this room who last night noticed Alderman Segarra having a cardiac episode. Jessica Giratana, our council executive assistant, jumped in immediately to render aid. Attorney Dyken called 911 because they recognized the symptoms of what was happening, and John Delgadillo ran for the AED machine, and I'm positive saved his life last night. He did suffer a cardiac event, and he is recovering. He is okay. So he asked to be excused from this evening's meeting, and of course we did that. So this hit home when I saw that I was presenting this evening. So thank you to you 3, and Alderman Segarra, we wish you well, and I do urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Smedley. Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Russell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 6.
Seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez.
This resolution is to grant permission to accept a Safe Neighborhood Grant in the sums of $11,099 for the Department of Justice. This grant will be used for a poll camera to assist the narcotic investigation in the area, where there have been increases in drug activity, gun violence, and gang presence. I urge an adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Russell. Any questions or comments on this item? Alderman Ayalon.
Yes, I'm just tried to link and read it, and it didn't respond. So I don't know what happened to that resolution. So I just wanted to make that point, to see the full resolution. I never got to see it because it didn't work here. Thank you.
You can have mine. That's okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 7.
I have a second by Alderwoman Ortiz Luna.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a resolution to purchase some weapons for the police department, 15 6-hour SBR rifles, 15 6-hour Romeo AT optics, and 15 6-hour SLX suppressors for a total of $51,077.25. This money is coming from the federal asset forfeiture money, and the chief is here to answer any questions if anybody needs any. This is to replace older weapons and have them equipped with the new sights that we okayed not too long ago. So, and I guess some other stuff too. So the chief can really explain more, but I urge adoption. This is well needed. The old weapons are getting old, and this is for the safety of the officers and the citizens of New Britain. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Catanzaro. Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 8.
Seconded by Alderman Thompson.
Thank you. The control of sexually transmitted diseases remains a core public health function in the city of New Britain. The New Britain Health Department has an existing contract with the State Department of Public Health to provide services under their sexually transmitted disease control program. The state has notified us that a reduced award funding based on the state's adopted budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 will occur, and it has reduced the funding in the grant from $17,627 to $13,218 for this fiscal year. I do urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Smedley. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 9.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Smedley.
This is for $33,571 to Auto Environmental Systems LLC for 400 rollout trash and 104 rollout recycling containers. And I urge adoption because the trash got to be taken out.
Thank you, Alderman Rutkowski. This is just to replace the ones that we go through on an annual basis. Any questions or comments? Alderman Hargraves.
Like, just for like confirmation, people are then paying for these containers too, so we're putting up the money, but if someone needs one,
Correct.
they essentially have to pay.
We front the money and then
Yeah.
make it back, yes.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept item number 10 and refer to the Committee on Administration, Finance, and Law.
Seconded by Alderman Russell.
Thank you, Your Honor. This will be taken up at committee where we will review the proposed changes to the administration hierarchy in City Hall. I do urge adoption.
Thank you
Or
very much.
referral, so
Yes,
apologize.
the referral for AFL. All those in favor of the referral signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 11.
I have a second by Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you.
Did I hear? I'm sorry. Whatever. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 9-199B, the Common Council may appoint additional members to the Board of Assessment Appeals in years a reevaluation goes into effect, and due to the number of anticipated appeal requests, it is determined that additional members be appointed as alternates to avoid meeting cancellations due to lack of quorums. The alternate members will serve as voting members in the absence of a Board of Assessment Appeals member and their respective parties. And at this time, we would like to appoint as alternate members to the Board of Assessment Appeals Nathan Simpson of 185 Brook Street and Peter Steele of 170 Oakwood Drive. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this resolution? Alderman Ayalon.
Yes, I want to congratulate both for, I think, I know Nate Simpson very well and served already on the assessment, so I'm sure we'll be in good hands. I just wanted to point out that and read the code of New Britain, and where it says in section 2-142, additional members for any assessment year in which the revaluation becomes effective, or for any assessment year immediate prior to or subsequent to the revaluation year, the majority leader and the minority leader will recommend additional members, which will be subject to council approval. Since I'm the minority leader, nobody approached me about this appointment. Of course, I would also appoint Nate Simpson, but I would.
Comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to sign the resolution right now so we can get Nate sworn in. Yeah.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you, Nathan Simpson, having been selected to the office of Board of Assessment Appeals for the City of New Britain, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and honestly perform the duties of the office of Board of Assessment Appeals for the City of New Britain to the best of your judgment and skill, so help you God?
Absolutely.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Congratulations. Good luck is right. But you've been through this before. I will move on to resolution number 12, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept item number 12 and refer to the Committee on Administration, Finance, and Law.
Seconded by Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an extension of a tax modification agreement for the property known as 321 Ellis Street, and we will review in committee. I do urge referral.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on the referral? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept item 13 and refer to the Committee on Planning, Zoning, and Housing.
Seconded by Alderman Russell.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a language change to the resolution and addition of some new language related to the prohibition of underage sale postings to prevent or help prevent minors from purchasing alcohol, and I do urge referral.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept item number 14 and refer to the Committee on Administration, Finance, and Law.
Seconded by Alderwoman Ortiz Luna.
Thank you, Your Honor. This will be a modification to the salary schedule for the police chief position within our police department, and I do urge referral.
Thank you very much. Alderman Smedley, just as a point of clarification, can't post the job till I get the salary schedule fixed. So thanks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned. The time's 8:15 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.